Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to our session, Are We Good Parents? This comes under the banner of Jimbari Talks. I'm Sophia Kasuri. I run Jimbari, and our philosophy is that the parents are the first teachers of their children. Everything that children learn, they learn from their parents in the first 5 years of their lives. They are the biggest influences for their children. So we want to understand what we can do to make parenting easy for us and successful for us. On our panel, we have Dr. Ambreen Ahmed. She is a child psychiatrist. She has been practicing for over 25 years. She's based out of Islamabad and is a member of ROSEN, an NGO working on emotional health, gender, and violence against women and children. She has 2 children, a boy and a girl. We have Dr. Rema Gilani. She is a gynae. She has had over 4 years of practice. She also has 2 children, a 14-year-old and a 4.5-year-old. And she is currently doing her master's in public health. Ms. Fareen Ahmed has been working in communication and marketing services as a manager in packages for over 6 years, and right now for packages for a year. She is a marketing professional, a qualitative researcher, innovation and renovation champion, and a mind sciences therapist. We have Mr. Hamad Naki Khan. He is the Director General of WWF Pakistan since 2014. He has more than 24 years of professional experience in donor liaison, resource mobilization, program development, fast track implementation, media engagement, policy review, strategic planning, coordination, budget disbursement, and management assessment and supervision of projects. He is the proud father of 2 grown boys, now settled abroad and working successfully in multinationals. So welcome to our panel. Thank you for being here. It is said that it takes a village to raise a family. I want to understand, or we want to understand, who is deciding whether we are good parents or not. Okay. Would you like to go ahead, Dr. Ambreen?
Sure. I think it's a very valid question, because lots of parents really doubt themselves based on what other people are saying. I think that we cannot really totally disconnect ourselves from the context in which we live. So yes, to some extent, the environment that we are living, the culture that we are living does influence us, and we have to take that in mind if we want to raise children that will fit in. But at the same time, if we pay too much attention to that and not enough attention to our own values, what we believe is important for our children, then in some ways we will give in, and I think that is not successful parenting. So it's a balance, the way I look at it. I think you have to listen to your own self, you have to believe in your own values, what you think is important, and at the same time, look at what's going on around you and see what are the good things that you want to take in, and reject the ones that you feel like, no, this is not what I believe in. So, it's sort of a balancing act, I think.
Raise the children that fit in. What is that? I mean, how do we decide where the children are going to fit in? Are we looking at them fitting in as global citizens? Are we looking at them fitting in culturally just in our country, fitting in a work environment? How do we define children that fit in?
I think if they are good human beings, they can fit in anywhere. In any culture, in any society, in any educational or organizational system. So that's why I feel as parents are struggling nowadays, they are doing anything to everything to make kids learn more skills and characteristics, but not spending enough time on building the character and value system. So if they do that, basis, the foundation is there, then any fit is a good fit for them.
I think so. You know, one of the things, Sophia, that I feel very, very, it sort of makes a lot of sense to me, is that there's a saying that says the biggest gift that parents can give their children are roots to stand firm on and wings to fly with. Contradictory things, but roots are really important, and that's what you were saying. You know, roots are what our values are, what we believe in, what we think that is really, really important. We have to convey that to our children. But because if the roots are not strong enough, then any wind that comes along, we follow that, right? So we need to know who we are. We need to feel proud of that. But at the same time, if the roots are so rigid and stagnant that we are not allowing our children to fly, to innovate, to meet challenges, that's a problem. So it has to be, again, like I said, roots as well as wings.
So I was feeling a bit nervous, in this session because, no expertise in parenting because I feel it's a science. But as a father of two grown-up boys, my intention is just to share my thoughts, the way, I brought up, or we brought up actually, our two boys. Quickly, both of us, like I and my wife, were 24 when we got married. We were parents at 25. I'm 53. My elder son is 27, and the younger one is 24. 3 years difference. Now, it was difficult because we didn't live in a joint family system. At that point in time, there was maybe research was there, but access to that good research, good parenting, successful parents, successful family, the definitions exist, everywhere, but access to that kind of information was limited. So we learned the hard way. It was many times, it was the gut feeling, अच्छा यार ये कर लो, इस तरह होना चाहिए. Success, yes, there were few things which were very clear to us. One was that we need to be a happy family. What are the parameters that we are setting ourselves? Is it like money? I'm from a middle class family. But was it just, being filthy rich? We wanted our boys to be very rich. Money does matter, but I think that wasn't the parameter. So as I think other panelists said, yes, there were many cases. There are family values. Are they caring? And then I think at the end of the day, the children, they look around themselves. So are we good role models? Are we speaking truth? Are we setting good examples? Are we behaving with the society or with the servants or family members in a good manner? What are they looking at? What are they looking around themselves? I think that was very important to us. It was very challenging. We struggled, but I think, alhamdulillah, and then being a happy family, I think to me, that was the parameter of success, to be honest. Yeah.
That's.
I just want to add one thing. It is a challenging job. I have got two kids. The eldest is 14 years with severe disabilities, autistic, and with a lot of other issues surrounded to it. The other one is 4.5, so there's a gap. It was difficult. The world around us judges us with certain parameters, right? We have to tick those parameters in order to, be a good parent, successful life, and all those issues. What I've learned throughout my career, I forgo my career as a practicing gynecologist and shifted to another field not because of any other reason, but because of my son. So parenting is because what you prioritize. If my priority is to raise good students, I'm going to raise good students. If my priority is to raise good humans, then that would be my priority. So it's for everyone, हमको अंदर देखना है कि मैं क्या चाहती हूँ. जो मैं चाहूँगी मैंने वही अपने बच्चे को बनाना है. नो मैटर मैं आपके मुंह पे क्या कह रही हूँ, मैं इनको क्या कह रही हूँ, मैं अपने घर वालों को क्या कह रही हूँ. बट वॉट आई रियली वॉन्ट माई चिल्ड्रन टू बिकम, अगर मैं उसको काइंड, जेनरस, ह्यूमेन बनाना चाहती हूँ तो मैं वही बनाऊँगी. अगर मैं उसको लाइक वैल्यू मनी की देना चाहूँगी तो मैं उसको वही सिखाऊँगी. सो इट्स लाइक आई हैव टू बी एट पीस विद माई सेल्फ एंड आई हैव टू मुझे अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स बिल्कुल क्लियर कट होने चाहिए कि मैं क्या चाहती हूँ. सो इफ़ आई एम क्लियर तो वो मेरी प्रायोरिटी होगी और वही मेरे लिए सक्सेस को डिफ़ाइन करेगी. सक्सेस वो नहीं होगी जो मेरे पेरेंट्स ने मुझे डिफ़ाइन किया होगा या वर्ल्ड ने मुझे डिफ़ाइन किया होगा. एंड देन वी हैव डॉक्टर अब्रीन. मैंने बहुत लेटर ऑन एक थ्योरी पढ़ी, सोशल कॉग्निटिव थ्योरी, और जब मैंने उसको अपनी लाइफ पे देखा तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि जिसने लिखी है ना उसको शायद डिवाइन कुछ हुआ था जो उसने वो बात लिखी है. सो आई मीन यू डू व्हाट यू हैव सीन. मैंने अपने पेरेंट्स को जो करते हुए देखा है मैं वही कर रही हूँ. एंड दिस मेरे बच्चों ने जो मुझे करते हुए देखना है उन्होंने वही करना है, नो मैटर मैं और whatever.
This is a philosophy we use in school. We feel that when you're looking at a school for your children, you look at the institution that has been around for the last 150 years. You automatically assume that that is the best institution because it has been around for so long, and that's where you want your children to go for education. But if you're looking for healthcare, you're not going to go to a hospital that's 150 years old. You're going to go to the hospital that's new, that's got the latest technology, that's got everything state of the art, modern day, because you want the best of the best treatment. As parenting, the way I was raised is not, I feel, going to apply exactly with my children, but you're absolutely right. I naturally follow the way I was raised. Is that going to work for our children in the future? For example, security. We did not have these kind of security concerns that our children have. Not just as a parent, but my grown-up children are very concerned about their security. Every time they go to school or every time they hear even a tire burst, they think of a blast. So how is that affecting our children that we are not able to protect them in the same way that we were protected?
I think the answer to that is that we don't necessarily need to of course we need to focus on it, but we don't need to worry so much about how do we make them deal with this particular challenge. Mm-hmm. The emphasis is we need to make them deal with challenges. And how do they look at challenges? How do they look at difficulties? I think if we can inculcate that attitude in them, that difficulties are part of life. Life is not an easy thing at all. So I think if we can teach our children that there will be difficult things. Of course it's difficult. Of course it's painful. But how do we deal with it? Do we deal with it by withdrawing, by being scared, by never taking up a challenge? Or we say, look, yes, it is difficult, and that's how you grow. These are opportunities to grow. So even with safety, I think, yes, it's an unsafe environment, and you're absolutely right. But I think, the way we convey that to our children is important. And we're not just, when we talk of safety, we are not talking just of what's going on in the streets. We are talking about what, since I work on violence against children, I'm very, very cognizant of the fact that, a lot of violence takes place at home. Lot of abuse takes place at home. All kinds of abuse takes place at home. So, those are also things. We have to empower our children. I think that's the key. We have to empower our children to look out for themselves, to value themselves. That's where we will be. So it's not so much that we protect them. It's like, how do we teach them to protect themselves? Yeah. That's what we need to do.
I just want to add, there should be some skills which we should, with the passage of time, बच्चों को वो skills सिखानी चाहिए, parents को, उनको बताना चाहिए. Nobody has prepared me. I had a very pampered life, and my parents being doctor, I had a very privileged life. I was an outstanding student. I was not prepared for a difficult life ahead. But the skills my parents taught me, and the way throughout the years they supported me, not to be dependent on them, but be a strong, humble, independent woman in this society, has helped me to cope all these milestones. And the same way, I want my children, and we want our children to learn those skills. And those skills are very basic. Have faith. आप गिरेंगे कोई बात नहीं, आपको चोट लगेगी, it's all right. आप failures भी लेंगे, it's all right. आपके कभी B grade भी आएगा, it's all right. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. मुझे नहीं याद कि मेरे 5th class में क्या marks थे. I don't remember मेरे
why
second year में क्या marks थे. I don't care.
Why does it matter? Because it does
Because
matter.
मैंने matter बना लिया ना.
No.
As a parent.
आपने बनाया कि किसी और ने बनाया?
No, parents have themselves set criteria. You know, society ने, they have made criteria. मेरा बच्चे, I mean, we have this much of grades. इस school में जाता है, ये grades हैं. We have a trajectory completely, हमने उसको बना के दे दिया. And we want, और अगर वो इधर से इधर होगा, oh.
I think there's a yes, it's a unfortunate fact that there's a pressure. रिजवान साहब के बच्चे के A star आए हैं. Oh my God, अच्छा, you know. So that's second. Agar, you know, if Waleed doesn't get 7 A's in his O levels, it will be difficult that he gets admission in a B, C, D, E. Right. So these are, I mean, let's be honest. There are few realities. So, and on the basis of my own experience as a father and as the chief executive of a big organization, when I hire people, I tell you honestly, the good, in most cases, I mean, I don't want to make a generic sweeping statement, but most successful professionals are not the people who got the best grades.
Absolutely.
I can give you my own example, my son's example. And then the second is that, okay, these are the branded colleges or universities. Until and unless you go there, it will be very difficult, you know, that you are successful in your life. No way. I mean, yes, there are good schools, there are good universities. You have to be good, you know. At the end of the day, it's you. Even when, you know, when I was speaking or when I was discussing this with my sons, so they didn't go to Oxford or London School of Economics. I told them categorically, you know, I'm a salaried person, I can't afford. So maybe if you get a scholarship, you know, you go to UK. Both of them, you know, applied for, they got like 2 A's, not like all A's or sab kuch. Both of them, they got 50% scholarship. They went to UK, they did there. And so they were competing with British nationals graduating from Oxford and LSE and who don't need a work permit. And they beat them. Both of them are working, you know, in good, reputed, leading financial organizations with above average or average grades, maybe not one of the best schools, but one of the maybe top 10 schools, where the fees were not high and the brand value was not, oh yeah, he went there or she went there. So I think let's understand that. But we start exerting pressure. Oh, you have to. No. It's end of life. And then, you know.
So does
I think what happens is, yes, there is pressure, and because we're living in a global world where there's free access to knowledge and there's more awareness there, and but instead of competing against each other or against other students, we should teach our kids to compete against themselves. पिछली दफ़ा क्या किया और उससे अब आगे और बेहतर कैसे कर सकते हो. a class mein if there are 50-60 students, the top 10 would be the top 10. 50 students cannot be in top 10, right? So we should just push our kids, help them, empower them to become a better version of themselves. And that should be our role as parents, as adults, as teachers, and whatever not, to help them become better and better and better versions of themselves.
I think that's a beautiful idea. Yes, absolutely. I would agree with you.
But going from what you're saying, I do feel that as parents, we are not trying to understand our children, but we are understanding more and more of what the pressures of society are. So, like you were saying, Rizwan साहब के बेटे के इतने एज आए, मेरे बेटे के नहीं आए. We are not focusing on our children's potential. We are not realizing, well, he worked very hard, he got a B, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
It doesn't matter. He did not work hard enough.
Absolutely.
He had to get an A, because if Rizwan Saab's son can get an A, you can get an A.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, and these are things that parents are putting the pressure on. It's not coming from society, it might be a pressure from society. For example, these days I feel in our generation, I feel that there is a lot of discussion on fizzy drinks. There is a lot of discussion on fast food. There is a lot of discussion on whether children should be having chai. Does it really matter? Does it?
Well, if you're
Yes,
asking me,
yes,
yes, it
if
does.
you're
It does.
asking
It
me,
does.
Yes.
Absolutely, it does.
It has scientific. I mean, there is a
Yes.
there is a research that you don't give carbohydrates to children when they are going to bed. You don't give them processed food, because there is a solid scientific evidence-based research that says that that's unhealthy. So there's no question about it. The fizzy drinks are out, processed foods are out, because there's so much of marketing, and we are busy moms. We don't have time.
Exactly.
So we just take
So
out
who
K&M,
decides that?
and we are going a burger to the child.
It's a matter of convenience, right? It's a matter of convenience that
Then
I have
again-
not had time to make something at home, so I'm going to go out and give my children fast food. Now, this was technically made as a convenience for a mother, and now that the mother is being told that if you give it to your child, you're not being a good mother. What is the solution for her? Because sometimes she might not actually have it the time. Does that make her a bad mother?
See, I'm not saying कि आपने 2 दफ़ा smoking की तो आपको cancer हो जाएगा. See, nobody says that. But if you are constantly doing smoking, 5 packets of a day, and in a matter of 10 years, you have highly likely probability, statistically chance, that you will end up having CA, right? The same goes with the processed food, and the same goes with the fizzy drinks and everything else. So there is a healthy thing and there is unhealthy. So there is a demarcation. Now, as a mother, you have to decide कि आपने उसको, मेरा बेटा सुबह क्या लेके जाता है, गाजर, खीरा, चुकंदर, इसलिए लेके जाता है कि मैं अपने घर में, डिस्पाइट कि मुझे ये चीज़ें इतनी कोई ख़ास पसंद नहीं है, बट मैंने एक डिलिबरेट डिसीजन लिया कि मैं नहीं कर सकती, मैं सुबह उठ के इतनी चीज़ें नहीं बना सकती, तो मैं ऐसी चीज़ें कर लूँ शुरू से आदत डालूँ, और जब स्कूल जाए.
I have to confess, my youngest takes Nutella toast to school, but that's because she'll eat that. She won't eat anything else. So my priority is that she eats something than to, and I'll be honest, it's not like I'm not being judged about it. I am, but it's up to me to decide कि मैं उसके lunch box में ऐसी चीज़ डालूं जो वो नहीं खाए, पर at least nobody will say कि anything to me and my child, और कि वो कुछ खा ले तो लोग तो बात करते रहेंगे. So again, it's a question I have for myself. Does that reflect on me being a good parent or not? Do something that I feel is right for my child, or
I think more than being parents, for every human being, you are what you eat, right? Mr. Winston very rightly said, healthy citizens are the biggest asset of any nation.
yeah.
So,
But I think
you just balance it out with Nutella toast and with
Nutella
chukandar
and
and
cucumbers, that's what
whatnot.
it is.
I think
I also
the
give
bitter
him a
truth-
piece of chocolate, ताकि उसको ये ना लगे कि everybody else is having chocolate.
Yeah.
So sometimes वो कहीं से कहीं किसी बच्चे का लेके खा ना ले, तो I give him. It's not like I also take him to McDonald's, KFC. It's not like that. But then again, It's like you have
It's
to
a balance.
It's a
Everything
balance.
is about a balance.
It's
Aap
balance.
kuch keh sakte
No, I mean, the bitter truth is, I think it's difficult to find ideal parents. It's difficult to find ideal kids, honestly. So my younger one was also like a very picky about food. So we tried, this, and then he used to throw it, and the teachers complained, and they said, okay, there's no point. And then he used to exchange, maybe, Ada tum ye sandwich le lo, healthy sandwich, or mujhe crisp ke packet do. So then we decided, okay, I mean, at the end of the day, it's his choice. I stopped bringing fizzy drinks at home, but, so whenever sometimes they find an opportunity, they go and they drink it. That's the reality. You can lecture them, but this is something, that you learn gradually, to be honest. When you, you have access to a lot of good information coming all the way through Facebook now, like, this is bad, this is good, and then you realize, okay, then it's your call. Okay, I need to have a balanced food. I need to have a balanced lifestyle. I need to have a healthy lifestyle. I need to do physical exercise. Otherwise, it's just, sitting, sleeping in front of screens. I mean, these are the realities. And that's the challenge, and that's the struggle that I think every parent now has to face, to be honest.
नहीं मैं you said something that you said we stopped bringing fizzy drinks in the house. I think that's great. I think those are the kind of decisions that parents do have to take. That just because a child and children will tell you, well, my friends are going to McDonald's all the time. Well, at times, the sad thing about parents is you have to be pretty unpopular at times with your kids. The rewarding thing is that when they are 25 and 30, they look back and say, Mom, I was talking to my younger friend and it sounded like I was like you, So they get that, but they get it kind of late. So at 13 or 14, you are absolutely the worst parent. And at 25, you're the same parent and they're saying, makes sense, jo aapne kaha tha. So, they do get it. So part of it is, saying, I'm not your best friend, I'm your parent. And as a parent, we have to take responsibility. So, yes, sometimes those decisions are not so popular. I want to go back to something jo aapne kahi thi. You said ki I don't know much about parenting. And here you are, you've raised 2 children. Now, I bet if I asked your wife, she wouldn't say that. So, ye kya baat hai?
I was looking at it as a science. If you ask me, the technical questions, the definition of good parents, the technical textbook definition, the key ingredients, that kind of
Maybe
stuff. Otherwise,
I say that jokingly because a lot of fathers say that. And, in my mind, that is absolutely not true. It shouldn't be true. Fathers are very, very important in children's lives. So
can we talk a little bit about the roles of the father as well as the roles of the mother? Are they different for children or are they exactly the same? Are there certain things that fathers should be doing or are there certain things that mothers should be doing?
In most
because
cases.
I usually find that mothers get to be the bad cop and fathers get to be the good cop. In most cases.
Well, for boys, it has to be father who has to be the bad cop. I think for daughters, it's the other way around. The mothers, I mean, I've seen it, in my family, it has to be mother. But for boys, no. Isko tum hi sambhalo, So that's the, but the thing is that both of us, like I and my wife are working. By the way, my wife is with the Beacon House, she's the headmistress. So, you don't allow, if there's a parent-teacher meeting, you don't allow, the mother, because if she's working, to go and attend. So in any case, I wanted to come. I wanted to attend. So I attended all parent-teacher meetings. I wanted to really discuss. Sometimes I was a bit kind of, as per teacher's definition, a slightly fussy father, because he really wants to know the company. What does the son, and where does he spend time in the break and that kind of stuff. But I think one thing I ensured, which I feel, and I love to do that, was I was an involved parent. I really wanted to involve, with my son. I used to play with them. I used to tease them. I used to fight with them. I was like at their level, you know. And whenever, my job required a lot of travel, but whenever, you know, I was at home, all other, no priorities. It's just kids, you know, family. I think that's the thing, yeah.
So when did you get time for yourself?
That's a good question. Sometimes on the weekend. So, I mean, that's the reason that, you know, maybe I have few friends. I have few friends, and I'm not a very social person. And that's the reason, because I wanted to spend time with my family. Yeah.
Sophia, I want to go back to what you said, that, you know, other things that mothers do and other things that fathers do. I think one of the things that we want to teach our children, or at least I think we ought to teach our children, is to not fall into the stereotypical gender roles. Is not tell them that, you know, this is only something that fathers do. Fathers will play and they'll do this, but they won't bathe and they won't change pampers, right? That's mother's job. I feel like we need to tell our children, teach our children, that, you know, part of that a mother can equally go out and play cricket with her child if that's what she wants to do, and the father can cook the meal. Because that is something that we want our children to grow up. How are we going to put them in compartments, or are we going to allow them to be human beings, not just fixed into this is the male role, this is the female role? So I feel like it's when you say what does a mother do, what does a father do, I feel like they can do both things, except for very few biological things that maybe they're different. But really, they can do everything. If the mother wants to go fly a plane, she'll fly a plane. And that's what you are teaching your daughter then. And if the father is interested in music and wants to paint, fantastic. You know, so we don't give these gender stereotypical kind of things to our children.
What I would like to say here is it's mostly like team building and playing team. You know, you have to exchange roles. There are no right or wrong definitions. Like you said, sometimes one has to be a good cop, the other times the other one has to be a bad cop. And most importantly, what's necessary is that we build connections with our kids. We're teaching them, educating them, trying to manage a lot in the daily routines, but how many times do we really know them, get involved with their lives? So as a mother or a father, I think it's both of them need to build connections with them, and that's their most important role.
But the reality is that particularly in urban setup, things have changed and things are changing. But still, in the rural setup, in the feudal, it's the roles are very clearly defined.
Yeah.
You know, again, and nobody taught or nobody forced these young educated couples to, you know, demarcate the responsibilities. They learned and they said, no, it's also my responsibility. But still, and again, that's the reality, that mother is multitasking at home. Even if she works outside, even if she's a peasant farmer, she has to do the multitasking. And the father is like, most of the time is monotasking, you know. Maybe he's doing multitasking at outside the home, but within the boundaries is primarily. But I think that's the change is coming. It's a bit slow, and obviously education has to play a key role in that, to be honest.
I just want to add कि मियाँ और बीवी का एक पेज पे होना, that's very important. अगर आपने roles switch करने हैं, sometimes mother is playing the role of a father and father is playing the role of a mother. So at the same page, both of them, they should be at the same page. ताकि ये ना हो कि at the end of the day, even if you should not be treated like a doormat. I mean, you have your own values, you have sacrifice as a woman, and that has to acknowledge. Or दूसरी तरफ, like my husband is a serving army officer, so I have real security issues. I am father and mother most of the time. And when he was doing PhD in UK. I was with him, and I was doing all the work. He was a full-time student over there because he was on scholarship. And in army, you have got बिल्कुल specific time होता है, not a day आप उससे आगे जा सकते हैं वापस ना. So there were pressures. And that was the time I sacrificed my career. I did a lot of work with my child, with my special child, or I got admission in most of the universities, but I forgo that. लेकिन जब मैं वापस आई हूँ, here he was, he said, okay, now it's your time. Because when I came back, I had to do one of my exams, or क्योंकि वो time period lapse हो गया था, so I could not sit in that exam. Or he said to me, fine, now it's your time. So now he is supporting me, I'm doing my master's, and now we have switched roles. So it's like, I mean, जब तक आप दोनों मियाँ बीवी एक दूसरे को समझ नहीं सकेंगे, आप अच्छे पेरेंट भी नहीं बन सकेंगे.
और आप जो बात कह रही हैं ना, यू आर रोल मॉडलिंग. आप एक तो खैर आपस में आपका अच्छा रिलेशनशिप है, but I think you are role modeling that for your children. You know, it's not just about dad. It's not about what he wants.
It's about balance.
It's a balance.
It's a balance.
Right.
Or sometimes you feel like, oh, मैंने तो बहुत कुछ अपनी ज़िंदगी में कुर्बान कर दिया, and then you try to play like a victim. You are never a victim. You have two beautiful बच्चे. And some people, like when I was in a practice, जब मैं training कर रही थी, I have seen such worse conditions of women. I've seen worse conditions of health. कि मुझे लगता है मुझे अल्लाह ने बहुत bless किया. I mean, I feel the most blessed person on the face of the earth. इसलिए feel किया क्योंकि I know कि इस माशरे में औरत कहाँ पर है. I know that very clearly. So I have no issues कि मैंने वो साल अपने sacrifice किए, or I forgo my training or whatever.
So based on what you're saying, let's talk about the emotional quotient that we need to develop in our children. What are the qualities, or what are the how do we make our children strong? How do we make them emotionally connected, aware of their surroundings, to empathize, to be sensitive? What are the techniques? There's one that we have all been talking about, is that we role play.
Yes.
They see what they see and they copy that.
Right.
What else? How else are we, our families, society, instilling a strong emotional quotient in our children?
Well, I don't know how society is doing it, but I think how we can do it. One of the key things in EQ is that we are self-aware. You know, are we talking about feelings, for instance? Are we role modeling or talking or listening to our children? Are we focusing just on academics, or are we talking about feelings of sadness or happiness? What are they? How do we express these things? Okay. The other thing is self-esteem. I think it's really, really important for children, for us to be able to give them a healthy self-esteem, where they have a positive, realistic attitude or opinion about themselves. So they're not drifting into a very self-defeating arrogance or pride, where they think, you know, they are better than everybody else. And they're not going to the other extreme where they're thinking everybody else is better than them. But they feel like, you know, I am who I am, I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses, but I'm good, right? I think that is important, because when parents are able to tell the child that you as a person are valuable. You will make mistakes, but you're very special. Now, there will be times you will make mistakes, and those are the things we will focus on, and we will say, ये तुमने गलत किया, लेकिन that doesn't mean तुम गलत हो, तुम एक बुरे इंसान हो. Okay? It's like the difference between the person and the behavior. I think it's really important to target the behavior. ये तुमने बहुत अच्छा किया, ये तुमने बहुत बुरा किया, इसको बेहतर करो, मगर ये नहीं कि तुम बेहद नालायक हो, तुम फजूल इंसान हो, तुम तो कभी कुछ नहीं कर सकोगे. You see? So I think that is important. So self-esteem is really part of EQ, having a healthy EQ.
So, it, I've noticed a lot of this reward system that's sort of very popular these days. You go to school, I'll take you to the toy shop later on. You do, you get an A grade, I'll give you this. There's a constant negotiation on achieving things and then rewarding them. Except that life is not going to be that simple. It's not going to be. Everybody is trying their best to be a good parent, and everybody who comes from their own homes, who go into work life, who go into married life, they were all the prince and princesses of their homes. But life is very different when you have to handle it on your own. So where do we draw that line when you talk about person and behavior? How are we differentiating? How are we creating that?
You know, I don't know what does the science say about this, but in practical life, these things, they matter.
Yeah.
You do good, you know, you show good behavior, and then you know, you'll be liked, you'll be rewarded, right? And also linked to that is also that nothing like comes easy. A little struggle, a little effort, you know, to get something. Because that's also, I think I've felt that is good, because life is not bed of roses.
No, but that's what I'm saying, that even in your work life, sometimes you work very hard. You think you've given it your best shot. But when it's time for evaluation, you realize that that's not who you were reporting to felt. And that's a disappointment, because you were expecting a reward, but you just barely got an acknowledgement. Now these disappointments are realities of life. Are we as parents preparing our children for these? Are we? And
I think that, you know, instead of reward, maybe one should think of consequences, right? Focus more on consequences. अगर तुम स्कूल नहीं जाओगे, if you are not going to get up on time for school, you will be late. I will not go all ballistic about it, but when you get to school, let the school punish you for that, or whatever the consequence is. Okay? But I see so many mothers who are basically nervous wrecks. And what's the problem? Well, he doesn't get up on time. Okay? So, well, have you let him face the consequence of that?
the consequences are usually they're sent back home.
Good.
And they
okay.
like that. So it's not a consequence that parents really want, I have to be honest.
I think
Not always.
the way our lives have become so busy, and we all are multitasking all the time, and this reward system works because it's quick and easy at times as well. But also where we can add value is through communication, talking to children about things. If you explain them anything, whether it's missing school or about anything, they would listen to you and they would understand that. And that's where, because of our busy schedules as well, I think that's where we are lacking. And if we start doing that and take them, understand them, that as adults, not just as kids, okay, do this or don't do this, explain them why you are saying do this or why you shouldn't be doing this, then I think once you do that for the first time, half of your problem is gone for the second time.
So you're really talking about logical kind of consequences,
Yeah.
where you communicate to the child. अगर तुम ये नहीं करोगे तो फिर ऐसा होगा. And of course, it's not ideal. It's not like the child is going to agree with you every time.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think there are some natural consequences and some that parents have to tell their children. Yes, ये होगा, and explain why. जैसे आप कह रही हैं, to communicate with the child.
Yes.
Right.
Earlier on in the opening session, Ms. Leslie Hazelton said that it's better to depend on the past knowledge than to look to the future. As parents, what if each one of you can please give your views on what you feel the 5 essential core that every parent should be instilling in their children are, in your views? Go ahead.
Okay, let me try. So I think, as I said, to me, being an kind of an involved parent, you should be literally physically involved, with your kids. Second is, I think setting rules is also, to me, is important. Okay, these are family values. These are the rules. You don't have to be rigid, but you have to be consistent. Okay, every second day you change the rule. No, don't do that. Be a bit flexible. But I think the third, I feel, is that managing, because at the end of the day, you would like that, that when they grow up, they should be self-managed. They should manage themselves. I'm strictly against micromanaging, because I've seen very bad examples where fathers and mothers, no, I'll do it for you. No. So honestly, I think they should learn. Let them learn the hard way. I think that was important. Gaadi nahi thi driver. Okay, why don't you are in grade 9. Okay, pick a rickshaw, yaar. Just nahi, rickshaw kaise is tarah jao, way karo. Do it. Just do it. So I think that's because you want to have like self-efficacy. That you want them, that they should be efficient. Because as Dr. Sabha mentioned, if he's not getting up at time, there's a possibility, and he's not being managed, that when he enters a professional life, he's always late at work. I know people, whatever you do, they're always late.
You're absolutely right. I have to tell you, you're absolutely right.
So, and I know people, it's not that, it's not like a military environment, little bit, it's easy to say, difficult to do, it's a bit challenging, but having this balanced, environment where the kids grow, I think that's very important.
Bilkul. Okay, I agree with all the things actually that you said. So to add to that, again, I would say that self-esteem, ability to differentiate between externals and who you are, right? Not to value yourself only because you have designer shoes or whatever else, or you're driving whichever car. They should be able to differentiate between what the externals are and what their core value is. I would say a regard for other people. If we can teach them that you can respect yourself, but you must also respect other people. If we can teach them respect for the other gender, all genders, if we can teach them that. If we can teach them how to live and value, and I'm not just saying tolerate, I'm saying respect diversity. Because I think it is not just, I think Leslie has said it very well. She said it's not just about including people, as if we are the ones who have to include.
We decide, exactly.
We're talking about equality. We're saying, sort of accepting the fact that other people are just as valuable, even if their lifestyles are different, even if their thinking is different. So I think if we can teach our children that, and of course if we can teach them to be empowered individuals who can take their own decisions rather than depend on others, who know their own values, who can take their own decisions. I think those are the things.
Very well said.
Very well, sir. Ji.
So I agree with all of the statements. I want to add faith. Faith बहुत ज़रूरी है. कुछ काम नहीं आता in difficult times if you have faith. Faith होना चाहिए कि आप अकेले नहीं हैं and you are not the only one. People have gone through worst experience and they have come out strong. और अगर एक दरवाज़ा बंद होता है, so you have got multiple doors. आपके पास, you should have eyes to see those doors. The other thing, you have to be at peace with yourself. आप जैसे हैं, you are happy with it. You will try कि मैं इससे बेहतर बनूं, but आपके बेहतर के मेयारात जो हैं ना, वो you have to realistically identify कि आपके बेहतरी के मेयारात क्या हैं. मेरे पास आज एक स्मार्टफोन है तो फला स्मार्टफोन मेरे पास आ जाएगा, that's my improvement, that's my personal grooming. तो फिर वो बच्चे के अंदर ट्रांसमिट होगा. एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द डे ये रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एज अ पेरेंट मैं बहुत फील करती हूँ कि मैंने ये बच्चा अपने जाने के बाद इस सोसाइटी इस वर्ल्ड में छोड़ के जाना है. And how I'm going to treat him is how he is going to treat the world. So I have to be very, sometimes it's जैसे मुझे लगता था जब मेरे माँ बाप ये कहते थे जब तुम्हारे बच्चे होंगे then you will understand. And I truly believe कि जब मेरे अपने बच्चे हैं तो I feel that responsibility. और मुझे लगता है especially with the view of के you have got so many disabilities जो कि हम देख नहीं सकते but we feel it. I feel those disabilities in people around me. Physically नहीं है but they are there. I want to sensitize the children to understand कि सिर्फ physical disabilities नहीं होती. There are certain mental disabilities and you have to crash. यानी अगर मेरी कभी बेटी होती तो मैं उसको हमेशा ये कहती don't worry about fitting into those glass slippers. Just worry about how to shatter that glass ceiling. I mean, this you have to really बच्चों को बताना पड़ेगा. You have to really tell your children, especially mother sons, आपको ये बताना पड़ेगा इन लड़कों को कि you are no superior than anybody, you are no superior than me. So be in your,
So
you know,
teaching equality
teaching is very
definitely
important.
has become very, very important.
I think parents can never do enough for their kids. There are no rights and wrongs, and the lists are never ending. You would always want to be with your kids to protect them from any harm. You would want to give them the brightest of future, best things that money can buy. But in the end, if you have to suffice, give them good education, good health, and prepare them to face the world on their own. You do these three things and let it be. Rest of the things follow. And education, obviously, it's a value system as well as the schooling and whatever not, the best that you can provide.
So we're now going to move on to our question answer sessions.
Question that I couldn't write down. May I ask that question?
Can I just quickly address these? Okay. We have a couple of questions. Number one, since we started off with talking about values, they want to know what sort of values we should be instilling in our children, which I think we have talked about at length, but the question is who decides or who determines what value exactly is? What are the existing norms and accepted notions and the unaccepted notions?
Okay. To me, you know, these are very basic human values, so I'm not sure where they're coming from, but I think if we want to teach our children basic values, these are values of respecting others, of honesty, of kindness, of true, you know, of justice. Those are the values that we talk about, of respecting diversity, like I said. Those are the values that I was referring to, really. And I think that's what I meant when I said giving them roots. That, you know, parents, if they believe in those things, they need to be conveying that to their children.
True, I agree. We all want our kids to go to college and go to work in the top firms. Is that a definition of a successful life?
Not according to me.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. Again, the parameters, they keep on changing. You know, when I finished my college, you have to be a doctor or an engineer. I hated biology. I went for, you know, engineering. But I think obviously good colleges, it depends on individual's environment. If you have your own business, then maybe people would like, or your parents would like you to further expand or, you know, improve the business. But the reality is that, you know, you need to earn. You need to survive. It's a harsh world, but and to do that, there's a competition out there. But it's not necessary that, you know, that you go to the best institutes, you join the best companies I've seen people starting their own small, as an entrepreneur and are very successful. I've seen people, and then the values, the definition, the content, how content, you are.
So what is the definition of a successful child?
I think
How do you determine what a
the-
successful child is?
I think she mentioned the bottom line is a good human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to define the, the good human
Yeah.
being.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I
because
think
you can-
in
you
the
can-
end, that's what matters. Money, all the materialistic things. At the end of the day, even if read the regrets when you're on the deathbed and whatnot, what comes to you is are you a good human being or not? That's what
Well,
defines it.
it's interesting because the president of the sort of most powerful country in the world right now, he in some ways, he's been very successful. But does that mean he's a good human being or,
Yeah,
lots
agreed.
of questions about
Many
that.
people
So,
he is.
Dr. Amreen, आपसे question है, how do you get rid of children's addictions to smartphones and iPads?
Yes, I think by being unpopular parents, okay, by sitting with them, explaining to them that there are certain rules.
Yeah.
It's not like they cannot have smartphones or they cannot have access, but I think rules, like you were saying, are very important. Boundaries are really important, and of course the boundaries change with age. That's the difficult thing about parenting. You can be a good parent for a 3-year-old, and then the 3-year-old is no longer a 3-year-old. Then she is a 13-year-old, and then he's an 18-year-old. So I think the boundaries, you have to set boundaries as parents, and you have to be able to set limits. This is what you will be allowed, beyond that, and this is the reason why we are saying no.
So I think we can end. Ji,
May I?
sorry. Oh, sorry, mic इनके पास है, one.
I have a question from Dr. Ambreen. You answered my question about almighty iPhone. My second question was, aren't we over-parenting? Because when we grew up, we did not get as much time and attention from our parents as we do to ours. And we are not necessarily dysfunctional, unhappy people. And some of our most brilliant class fellows were not necessarily very interesting company either. So my point is that probably we tend to overdo it.
Yeah.
I think so.
It's
I think at
I
times,
agree.
yes.
Yeah.
Helicopter parenting.
Somebody
Yeah, it's like, oh.
said this. Very over-responsible parents invariably produce irresponsible children, because you are so busy taking responsibility for everything. Homework हो गया कि नहीं? तुमने time पे तो पहुँच गए कि नहीं? तुमने वो वाला sport खेल लिया कि नहीं? If you are so busy doing that, your child doesn't have room to take responsibility or the consequences of.
Also, I think this world is run by average people, and thank God for it.
Everybody wants their children to be geniuses, and if you as a parent believe your child is a genius, I'm no one to contradict it, but we have all kinds of people in this world. It takes all kinds of people to make the world go round, and I think every parent is doing their best to raise successful children. We can't doubt that. Thank you very much for being
Thank
on
you.
this panel. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.